Hello and welcome to the Reseller resource. Today we'll be going through understanding SellerAmp SAS. What does everything on there do and how do I use it? So we'll be looking at a product as an example that we've looked at in our introduction to sourcing video. It's just a lawnmower trimmer spool, so it's quite a small item. So first of all, you will want to be knowing the best bit to look for your profit. It's mainly why anyone uses SellerAmp. It's to work out if an item's profitable or not, as to whether we should sell it. So the first thing you want to be looking at when you go onto the listing page on SellerAmp, it gets all the data from Amazon, but the one thing you want to add in there is the cost price. So that's the important bit, the cost price and the sale price. So typically the sale price will automatically feed based off the current buy box price. Obviously, if you saw a massive spike or a massive drop in the buy box price at the moment, for example, then that sale price might not be that. So it's just a bit of common sense as to what you put in there. But typically, it pulls the data based on the current buy box price, and for the majority of sourcing, that's the price that you want to be keeping in there. The cost price, like I say, it's the price that you actually get the item for. So it's the price that the item costs you, including shipping, per unit. Most retailers in the UK will do free shipping. So for example, in this case, you'd be looking at £4.50 if it costs £4.50. But if you bought one item with £3 postage and the item itself was £4.50, you'd have to put the cost price in here as £7.50, because that is the landed price per unit. That's the price you have paid per unit for it to reach your front door. The next thing you want to look at is the estimated sales a month. That takes it's a SellerAmp estimate based on the BSR, which is the sales rank of the item on Amazon. That's pretty accurate. It's not too bad at all. If it says 150 a month, it's probably around that. So it's a really good way of working out whether something sells a lot or not many a month. If you get down to really low levels of like it estimating maybe 15 or 20 sales a month or something like that, then it does start to get a bit less reliable. However, if you take it as a whole, like whether it says it sells 30 a month or 3,000 a month, then it's a very good estimate. It's a good way of working it out. What I would also say at this point is in 2024, Amazon have introduced a new sales metric, which is a confirmed number of sales per month that it adds onto its listings. This is shown in the middle graph here, the monthly sold line. That is confirmed based on the listing. So whereas SellerAmp will look at the estimated sales a month based off the sales rank, Amazon actually provides this monthly sold data directly on the listing now, and that also feeds through into SellerAmp, so you can see definitively how many that item has sold in the last month. So you can see here it sold at least 100 units in the last month as we're looking at this now. So this is saying 100 plus. The SellerAmp estimate saying 150. So it's probably the SellerAmp estimate, like I say, it's not too far off there. If you then scroll down and look at the ranks and prices section, you can see the actual figures in decimal format, essentially, rather than graphical format, for both the current data, the last 30 days on average, last 90, 180, and for the entire lifetime of that listing on Amazon. So what I would suggest is, in this case, for example, if you were to look at the buy box price, £11.50 at the moment, the average for the last 30 days, £11.82, the average for the last 90 days, £12.04, and the average for the last 180 days, £11.99. So it's been very, very stable for the last, well, 30, 90, and 180 days, essentially. So when you're doing your sourcing, you probably think to yourself, okay, that price has been average for the last 180 days, so that's probably a good thing to look at there. Similarly, you can look at Amazon on the listing just below the buy box as well, so £13 at the moment, £12.80 for the last 30, and so on. So you can see that there's a very, very steady average average there. Things haven't been like massively swinging up and down, and the price has been like wildly all over the place essentially. You can also see the sales rank drops, which is another metric used to work out like roughly how many sales in the last 30 days. So you can see there are 81 sales rank drops in the last 30 days. What that means is essentially every time somebody buys something, the sales rank will drop. A sales rank of 1 is best on Amazon, so every time something sells, the sales rank will drop and get closer to 1. What that does though is that doesn't take into account whether somebody buys 1 of something or whether somebody buys 100 of something. So effectively you could probably estimate there that around 80 orders have been placed in the last 30 days. Again, that's probably an estimate rather than a guarantee there. You can also see some alerts if you scroll down as well. You'd need to be logged into your Amazon account for that, as it links into Amazon. That will give you a bit of a warning if there's any like IP issues, which is intellectual property. So the brand may come onto the listing and essentially kick everyone off by complaining to Amazon, for example, that they're infringing on their trademark or something like that. You can also see if it's meltable. Amazon has restrictions in place for things like chocolate, so meltable things, that they can't be sent in, say, from May until October. Just otherwise, you end up with just to make sure that the products that are being sent out to customers haven't melted in their enormous warehouses, and also the size. So you can see there that it says standard size. Huge items like with a length of over 63 centimeters are classed as oversized, so they need to be sent to a different warehouse, is all. And those alerts also show at the top up here, so you can see there. So for example, if there was an intellectual property flag against the brand Ryobi here, then what that would do is that would flag up here with IP in big red letters for you. If you then look at the charts, we went over this in an introduction to sourcing video, but I'll go through it here as well. You can see there are 3 charts there. The top one is the price chart, the middle is the sales chart, and the bottom one is the review count and offer count chart. So you can see here the pink line is the current buy box price historically. That can go back anything from the last day, week, month, 3 months, year, or the lifetime of the listing. So for example, on 3 months you can see that the buy box has been pretty average, around £11 to £12. You can see the Amazon chart, which is the orange line in the graph. So you can see there that Amazon have pretty much been around £13 historically as well. And the sales rank is the green figure that's going up, the green line that's going up and down there. The middle graph, as I say, is the monthly sold graph, so you can quite clearly see there that sales are going down on it, but as it's a lawnmower trimmer spool, that is to be expected. The peak of sales is going to be in the summer. As you head towards the autumn and the winter, those sales will drop off. And the bottom one is the review count and the offer count. So that's how many reviews the listing has, and it's also the number of sellers on the listing. And you can also see, as well as seeing the graph there, which goes through the offer count, you've also got a figurative list of the seller count on there as well on the offers tab just a bit to the right of that. The one thing about reviews we would say is it's always worth having a look at the reviews up at the top on the left hand side. If you have, for example here, it's got 4.5 stars, 2,100 reviews. That's a pretty well reviewed product, so you're probably not going to have a massive amount of returns. If that, for example, had 100 reviews and yet only had like 2 stars or something like that, it may be worth opening the Amazon listing by clicking the little A there to open the Amazon product page. And what that would do is that will take you to the Amazon listing. You can then go down and look at the reviews. If it were to say, for example, this product breaks after a day, and there were tons of reviews saying that, it might be worth not buying that as an item unless the profit is massive, purely because you're going to get a lot of refunds. If people return stuff, then they're going to leave bad reviews on the Amazon listing for it. It's a really good indication of whether you should leave a product alone or not because of the return rate. You can also see what the item sells for in different European marketplaces. So for example, you can see at the moment Amazon are selling that for €7.95 in Spain. and €8.81 in France, whereas in Germany, for example, it's selling for a bit more at €12.49. That just means you could also buy them, for example, from Amazon Spain if you wanted for €7.95, which is about £6.50, I think-ish. If that is also profitable for you, of course. You can also have a look at when you last looked at the actual item itself, and what it will do is if you use the browser add-on, then actually when you look up an item, it will actually tell you the source. So for example, if you've forgotten where you looked something up, where you bought something from, you can use this. If you use the browser add-on for SellerAmp for Chrome or Firefox, you'll be able to see exactly where you got it from based on where you looked it up. You can also see the buy box analysis on the right hand side, which is quite important. So you can see there's one person here that's had the buy box for quite a long time. That may be because they're the only seller on the listing historically or something like that. But the others tend to share it quite well between them. Typically, the buy box gets given using Amazon's metrics, one of which is price, the other is whether it's fulfilled by Amazon or fulfilled by merchant, and the other is actually the the review count of the sellers. So for example, if you've got one seller with thousands of reviews, they're more likely to get the buy box if they're the same price than somebody that has one review on Amazon or something like that. And finally as well, you can just see the VAT settings. For the majority of new sellers, they would be not registered on the VAT scheme. That means you don't have to pay VAT on the things you sell, you don't reclaim it on the things you buy, and you do have to pay VAT, for example, on the fees that Amazon charge you. Previously this wasn't the case, but that's new for 2024 in Amazon. If you are VAT registered, then you would change that to standard rate, because that's where you can reclaim the VAT on the cost of the item, but you have to also pay it on the sale of the item. And alternatively, for some sellers, they do find that they like to go down the flat rate of VAT, which is effectively you just pay a flat rate of, say, 11%, for example, on everything you sell. Whereas for the majority of sellers, we'll be selling stuff that's VAT is due, VAT isn't due on some stuff, say coffee or things like that, for example. So for the majority of VAT sellers, they're standard rate, and for people just starting out, you will not be VAT registered, so you'd need to put not registered on there. Just to also go through, before we finish, the profit calculator, you can see the cost price, the sale price. You can choose the fulfillment type, so it's fulfilled by Amazon or fulfilled by merchants or yourself. If you ship it, if you were to ship it, you'd say put £3.50 or something for the shipping, however much it would cost you, and that would update the profit figure. However, for the purposes of our videos, we go through fulfilled by Amazon. You don't need to worry about the storage, but if you were assuming that you're going to have to store it for, say, 6 months, then that will add the Amazon storage fee into your costs and therefore tell you your profit accordingly. And you can also have a look down here at the quantity. Say you wanted to buy 100 of them, it would give you an overall figure based on the sale price as well. That is essentially how SellerAmp works. This has been a video from the Reseller resource. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel for more in-depth advanced videos and training guides.